Hey, this is Jeff Brown with Topeka Krav Maga. So, want to throw this out there to y'all and kind of a little bit of some goal setting for the rest of 2016. We are obviously we've been growing and we have new students in the school, and it's been kind of a busy summer. So, it's been a little bit chaotic with our classes and stuff like that. However, I do want to point out some things about our training that really sets us apart from a lot of other schools in the area. We're not claiming we're the best or anything like that, and I'm not here to insult anybody else or their classes. There are some other great classes in Topeka area. However, you know, what we feel strongly about what we're teaching and what we're doing. So, one of the things that I really believe that sets our school apart is the inclusion of airsoft training, force on force training, as well as training knives, knife attacks and stuff like that. So, and you've heard me say this before. You fight like you train like you fight. And here's the deal: if you're not training, you're not prepared. That's the reality of things. So I would encourage you to be in class. Here's the deal: I'm not after your money. Okay, the little bit that I get from my students barely covers our expenses, and so nobody's after your money. We charge lower class fees than just about any other school in Topeka for a class that's ongoing, and teaching these things on a weekly basis. In fact, more than one class during the week. So it's not about the money. I want you to understand that my goal is to see you to train. I really don't want to see you on the internet trashing other people, posting ignorant videos, trying to puff up and show everybody how tactical you think you are. Because the reality is this. None of us are probably as good as we think we are. Remember, in reality is that in a real fight, you will never rise to your level of expectations, but you'll fall to the level of your training. And what that means is that your ego and your self-image may think that you're this great, wonderful tactical warrior. You got all your gear and you're tactical, but reality is that if you're not training on a consistent basis and hand-to-hand as well as weapons training, you're probably not truly as good as you think you are. And even the truly proficient and professional warriors realize that they always need to train. They always need to prepare themselves and to keep themselves fresh. Quite honestly, a black belt won't get you any more advantage than anybody else. Having a nice, pretty certificate or some kind of rank that you may have obtained, from whatever courses that you've taken, doesn't mean that you're truly prepared if you're not training. There's a lot of classes that I've attended over the years, and I know there's other people in this group that will agree with this. Just because you've taken a class, and you got a certificate and all this stuff, it doesn't necessarily mean that you are an expert. Okay. I used to teach concealed carry for a span of time. It wasn't very much. And I remember having this large class. I overdid myself, and I had over 30 students in one class. It was insanity. And I made a lot of money. It was really nice. I made a lot of money. But I realized that I had some limits in my knowledge and my understanding. And even though I spent many years as a cop and been through tons and tons and tons of firearms training, tactical training, martial arts training and stuff, the students started asking questions about certain things, and I felt like I started realizing that there were limits to my knowledge and my understanding. Here's the deal. whether you're a cop or you're military, whether you were on a tactical team or whatever, it doesn't matter. Whether you went through some schools, some different programs, it doesn't necessarily make you an expert. It does give you some knowledge and some experience, and what you do with that knowledge and experience is what will help you become the expert depending on how much time you invest. That's the whole point of this video, is time invested. If you want to learn good close quarter combat, hand-to-hand combat, CQB based combatives, then the Topeka Krav Maga school is a good place to do that. However, showing up to a class here every once in a while there, whatever, you're not going to progress as much as you could if you come to class consistently. I'm not trying to pick on anybody in particular, but like I said, I'm not after your money. We're just paying the rent, okay? I'd like to get a better place for us to train and have better facilities, but we have to grow some more before we can do that. But my point is that if you're not training, you're not ready. You are not ready for the real thing. I don't care what you did before. And there are other teachers that are watching this video right now that will agree with me, absolutely agree with me, that if you're not training consistently, you are not ready. For example, it's been a while since I've done any firearms training. After I got out of law enforcement the end of last year, I'm not proficient. This is not something that I'm going to carry with me for the rest of my life. I don't consider myself to be as proficient with my firearm as I was when I was training on a consistent basis. It's a depreciable skill. Well, you're not going to keep those skills. You have to train. You have to be prepared. If you are not, you're just fooling yourself. Hand-to-hand combat's a little bit different story. I train in that consistently, and very, very consistently. And I study it, and I practice it, and we experiment, and we do this training on a regular basis. And you'll find that when you are training and you are doing these things on a consistent basis, your skill level will increase. And so that's where I've increased in one area but decreased in another. So again, this is not to pick on people or make you feel bad for not being at class, but I want you to be prepared for the real thing. We are in a very, very violent time in our society today, and I want you to be prepared. I want you to be protected. And if you're just, running by ego, I'm afraid for you. You have to train. You have to prepare yourself. You have to be ready. You have to have the mindset of the warrior and the actions of a warrior. Now, you can have the mindset all day long, but if you're not getting out there and acting upon your training, preparing yourself, then you are fooling yourself. So this is Jeff Brown, Topeka Krav Maga and the Kudakadasa Dojo. I expect to see you in my class. See you soon.